Have you ever thought about learning to code, but just didn't know where to begin? Well, stick around, because in the next few minutes, we're going to break down the absolute essentials to get you started.
You know that feeling when you're using an app and you think, hey, I wish I could build something like this. If that's you, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take that very first step together, right now.
All right, let's kick off your programming quest. And hey, no experience, no problem at all. Seriously, if you've got that spark of curiosity, that's all you need. We're going to skip all the confusing jargon and get right to the good stuff. Just what you need to get going. Okay, first things first. What kind of gear do you actually need? The answer, well, it's probably not what you think. Let's just bust a huge myth right out of the gate. You do not need some super powerful, expensive computer. Nope, that laptop you already have, it's more than enough to get started. For real.
Now for software, you're going to need a place to, well, write your code. A fantastic choice is something called VS Code. And the best part? It's totally free, super easy for beginners, and it's what the pros use. So you're basically starting with a pro tool right from day one. How cool is that?
So, you've got your gear all sorted. Now let's get into the real secret sauce. The most important part of all this, learning to think like a programmer. See, before you even type a single line of code, you need a plan, a roadmap. In the programming world, we call this an algorithm. It's really just a fancy word for a simple, clear set of steps to get something done. And here's the thing, you already use algorithms all the time, and you probably don't even realize it. Think about making a cup of tea. It's an algorithm, right? First you boil water, then you put the tea in the cup. You pour the water, and you stir. See? It's just a sequence of steps. Programming is literally just writing down those kinds of steps for a computer to follow. Okay, so you've got your plan, your algorithm. Now you need the words, the actual building blocks to write out your instructions. And that's where data types come in. Think of them as the Lego bricks of programming. So let's look at the four main types you'll use all the time. You've got int, that's just for whole numbers like 10 or 42. Then there's float, which is for numbers with a decimal point like 3.14. String is for any kind of text, like the word hello. And finally, bool, which sounds weird, I know, is just for true or false. Pretty much every piece of information in your program is going to be one of these.
So, where do we actually use all this stuff? Well, think about it. Most programs are like a little conversation. They ask you for some information, that's the input, and then they do something with it and show you a result. That's the output. This little two-line program here is a perfect example of that. The first line asks, what is your name? And whatever you type in gets saved. That's the input. Then the second line takes that name and prints out a greeting. And boom, that's the output. Simple as that.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about what might just be the single most important secret to learning to code. It's all about how you deal with errors. Yeah, this word. You are going to see it a lot. And at first, your heart might sink a little. It can feel like you've failed. But here's the trick. It's all about how you look at it. An error is not a stop sign. It's a clue. It's a guide. Think of it less like you failed and more like the computer saying, hey, look over here. This is the piece of the puzzle you need to fix. It's actually trying to help you.
I'm telling you, making mistakes is completely normal. In fact, it's a critical part of the process. Nobody writes perfect code on the first try. Nobody. Your goal isn't to avoid errors. Your goal is to get really good at reading them and figuring out what they're telling you. So, where do you go from here? What's the path forward? The absolute key is consistency. You don't need to study for hours. Just 20, maybe 30 minutes a day of focused practice makes a huge difference. And try to work on small, fun projects. Build a tiny calculator or a little story game, something that keeps you interested. Oh, and definitely take notes. It really helps things stick. Just remember this. Programming is not some magic power that only certain people have. It's not. It's a skill, just like learning an instrument or a new language. And like any skill, all it really takes is a little bit of patience and a whole lot of practice.
And there you have it. That's your basic starter pack for kicking off your programming journey. I really hope this helped clear things up for you. And hey, if you like this, make sure to follow for more.